Buddy. This is Dr. Joaquin and Bennett Castro coming to you live here from High Horse's inaugural full spectrum podcast. The first episode, guys. We've got a lot of good stuff here in the pipeline coming up in the near future. We're going to be hitting you guys with not only High Horse's, weekly product drops and education regarding that, because, guys, let's face it, there is a giant gap in the cannabis industry with education, and not even just the cannabis industry, in general, but just the general society and the stigma of cannabis and education and advocacy that needs to, continue to be pushed on. That's why we are so happy to be here today. We are the training department for High Horse Cannabis. I'm the director of training, and Bennett is my assistant director of training. She will be taking over the whole thing eventually and driving, the horse all by herself.
Whee!
But, until we're there, we're going to be talking all kinds of cannabis education. I'm a pharmacist, if you guys don't already know, and we get a lot of great clinical insights on cannabis. It's really hard to find outlets of places to talk strictly about cannabis, because nowhere it will let you talk about cannabis without getting canceled, right? And banned. So we are excited to take this specifically to YouTube for long form content, so that we can connect all of these things. We had, coming up to the podcast, Bennett designed a really cool Q&A box for the High Horse Cannabis stores, and we've got some questions that we're going to be talking about, because we've got, talk to us about exactly what we rolled out with the questions and what we're going to be doing.
So these question boxes that are set up at all these stores are left open for the bud tenders and even the clients. So if you have any questions, or even as a bud tender, if you have any questions that just need further explanation, put it in the box. If it's a random question, no question is a dumb question. Cannabis is very complex, very in depth, and there's a lot of things still needing to be explored. But we have the access of a pharmacist. Like you said, we have a lot of research and studies that we have on hand. So, take advantage of that, ask your questions, and, tune in and find out. And this is where we can engage and figure out what people need the education most on, or what people are curious about out there.
It's an ongoing journey, and I think, cannabis for recreational purposes, people have, different uses. On the medicine side, as a company, High Horse, we are absolutely focused on cannabis is a medicine, and how we are going to continue to, educate and promote that as well. And we are in a really good spot to do it. We just going to take it week at a time, consistent, and go over it one product at a time. We have a very nice selection over at our shops when we open up in Hobbs, New Mexico, I believe next week. Don't get me quoted on that for sure, but we will be opening up there very soon. Chaparral, obviously, the border has. That's where you came from. How
Yes.
long did you work at Chaparral? You opened it, right?
So technically, I'm High Horse's first manager that existed, because Chaparral was the first store that High Horse was able to open. So Chaparral is kind of our first inaugural store. Then from there comes Valley. Valley was kind of a huge history marker for High Horse because of the drive-through. It was its first location of its kind in New Mexico, with drive-through in 24 hours. But I was at Chaparral for over a year. I managed that location from the start, the ground up. We even expanded the location and made that one a drive-through location as well. We've had our changes in. We were 24 hours for like 2 to 3 weeks, and it was a fun experience. So, I was out there and I got a lot of experience previously in the medical world. I've been in the medical world since 2020. So, dispensary life has been my choice of career for a few years now.
And so you've been fighting all the good fights with High Horse. You guys definitely have not chosen, we have not chosen the easy path there. The path, of least resistance is not what High Horse Cannabis has chosen. And that is, part of the social responsibility that we carry in terms of making sure cannabis and the stigma is wiped, and getting to, increase the access for this medicine. And, Bennett has seen it from, as she said, Chaparral going from 24/7 to not, and then all the other regulatory battles and everything you guys have fought and been a part of there since
Cannabis
then.
is ever changing, ever growing. The knowledge is always coming out. So, and even though our lawmakers at the moment are even learning a lot about it. So, things change often.
And guys, just for another, context here, some of the reason this podcast even blossomed because of things that we're doing at High Horse, um, we really realized like the value that is being, generated. We really needed to push this out. High Horse, I was able to come on as the director of training, interim director of training, and it's an awesome position because we want to have the most educated bud tenders right in the entire world. We are in a great spot to get our bud tenders, in super primed for all kinds of knowledge. In an industry where it's still federally illegal, it's still really early in a lot of things, and you know we have a lot to uncover and unhash there. But really, we get to now, be here and available to answer questions and create a real interactive campaign with this podcast. It's fun to get a perspective in cannabis and a insight into cannabis that you're not going to see anywhere else. I'm really certain of that. Bennett's success as an assistant manager, as a store manager, has elevated her to this position to where training is at the top of the New Mexico Cannabis Control Division's priority list. They see that, modeling that from Colorado and the things that they want to do and all of that. But regardless, when you can already just look at the data of the fact that, cannabis is still federally illegal, like 50% of the people in the country haven't even tried it yet. It's going to be a lot of option. It's going to be an option for a lot of people when they don't think about it, right? When they're actually in pain, when they're actually near death, right? Things that we don't think about in life, things in life that we don't plan for, the intangibles. And cannabis is there as a healing, place to go seek, right, some medicinal options, and where we look at what that could be versus other, drug substances, non-pharmacologicals. Will hit kind of all of that throughout the essence of this entire podcast, but that's why it's really important because we have to train our bud tenders to make sure that everybody understands that this is a critical medicine and that we are doing something incredibly different. You've got the sixth major organ system as the endocannabinoid system in the body that doctors, didn't even go to school receiving information on, nurses, etc. And now we're all of a sudden, bud tenders, welcome to the club. You are being knighted with literally a huge opportunity there to, learn a lot. And granted, you're not going to look at things maybe like a doctor at, in the initial sense or things, but after enough time together, we're going to be, beating the same drum. Bennett gets it. She
Yes.
started, she got like her pharmacy tech license and everything all the way, she has created a nice little understanding of a wheelhouse of knowledge there from store management to,
Retail.
medication, retail, and, some of the even clinical aspects here. Cannabis takes, a there's not a cut and dry formula for the cannabis industry for anybody right now.
No.
If you guys think there is, then you guys are fooled. And we are living in a giant, pool of, free open water, and it's an interesting place to be in the New Mexico cannabis market, right? Some people can say the market feels very diluted. Cannabis High Horse doesn't feel it the same way as other cannabis companies do. High Horse has put in that work over a long period of time to establish a name and a reputation for themselves that is a good reputation, and they are actually out active in the community, active hosting events, doing writing history, not just reading it, right? So
yes.
You guys have been there since the beginning, and Bennett literally had a store of, I don't know how many employees you had under you at this time, but every single employee had a journal, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're hitting them with questions every single day. Everybody's writing essays, things like this. These are not things you typically see in the cannabis industry at all, right, guys? These are not things you even see generally in a workplace that, right, managers don't always go out to empower their employees as much as we would like, whether they feel busy in the essence of their job or they're a bad manager or whatever that may be. Being able to cross pollinate what Bennett's been able to create, not only in her store to get new bud tenders into Chaparral and turn Chaparral into a powerhouse machine of a store. Um, Now that has graduated to be able to run itself, and Bennett is now training, moving on up in the world. So that's a proven recipe for success. And many people have started cannabis stores and failed already. So Bennett's what, you're 23 or 24?
24.
24, right, guys? So take some notes there, everybody, that this is a valuable place to be, place to gather some information, see what's going on around the industry. As High Horse, we have a lot of great industry partners in New Mexico, not only cannabis, but out in the community as well. And to be able to touch that with our patients, whether you're coming through our drive-through, going into stores, we really do want to connect that and make people feel like you don't have to hide to talk about cannabis, because so many people have to sign away their life to acknowledge that they're never going to do cannabis or talk about cannabis or whatever it's going to be, and it's created such a block there. So now we are here at the wall, and right, it's like the neutral zone between North Korea and South Korea to some degree, between people in cannabis or not. But we are trying to make it a nice, happy place, not a demilitarized zone by any means, in such a high intense place. It should just be a place where people can talk about real conversations about how they may have gotten to where they need to get to, why they use cannabis, why somebody might be working in the cannabis industry. We right now, especially on our first episode, this is going to be pumped to our staff, right? For you guys, all you guys out there, you guys all know that you have a mission and a reason why you're in the cannabis industry in the first place. There is probably nobody on earth right now that has lived a life in peace, been able to, use cannabis their entire life or whatever that may be. The people that waited up until 2021 were in hiding, basically, to have to use that. You couldn't talk about it at work. You couldn't, talk about it in the community unless other people were using it, or if you truly trusted somebody, right, you couldn't ever have a platform or a voice, anything like that. So it's it's an interesting time. I know I can rant on that, but it's really true. And I think for each and every single one of our employees that are watching, and even employees from other companies, you guys have taken it upon yourself to enter the cannabis industry. Like, welcome. It's not just, hey, we're all going to smoke and do Woodstock all day. This is it's a lot of hard work and a lot of opportunities and a lot of interesting things. So you're in an industry with a lot of passionate people, a lot of advocates. Every single person has advocated to get to where they are, and so where it's awesome for us. A High Horse herd has been running, and it's good to
What's
watch that
interesting?
go.
A lot of us are actually from Texas too, from High Horse. So the advocacy goes as far as not just New Mexico. We're trying to advocate all over, for cannabis. We get to shape the future of bud tenders. We don't stop at just New Mexico residents. We welcome in, residents of Texas who want to shape the community of cannabis in the future in their state. But even then, we're shaping, we're creating a whole different dynamic. We're writing a history of, educating their bud tenders, and even our clients. Our clients have the option to hop on here and create conversation to ask their questions freely, like you mentioned. They don't have to hide anymore. We're trying to create a whole different stigma to where you can ask your questions. We can relate it to the actual medical field, and from there we can actually, get straight answers on certain things, and maybe even get clinical studies running, and that's why we're here, is to make changes and make history and make sure that cannabis stigmas are broken.
Agreed, and that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna start this thing off. Our first spotlight, feature spotlight of the day, product drops that have been hitting, I think, since early August. Actually, but they sold out fast, and they're back again. Our top shelf actually, I'm talking about the Enchanted Botanicals
Oh, the
flower
top shelf.
first. Sorry about that.
Sorry, it's okay.
But for anybody who has or has not tried this Enchanted Botanicals flower in a very nice glass case, the nice airtight, air protected seal, which is then thus verified by actual quality cannabis, where you can see a little moisture content, right? That's something that in our industry right now with the packaging, you can open up some of these packs, and all of a sudden you've got some really dry product, and it's not great to have dry product that has been butchered to some degree, especially in the heat. Heat, sunlight, things like that will denature the cannabinoids that are in there. They will change the profile of whatever went in there at the time it went in there. And so, um, High Horse, obviously, we really like our producers and our flower and everything that comes from there, and even our manufacturing process. It does help ensure quality humid temperatures, but that's what we're saying here. When it comes to quality packaging, you're getting quality outputs. I mean, it's truly got an aroma that you can get right here. And Enchanted Botanicals out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Tell me what you know a little bit more about them as well.
So I know that they're a dispensary. Enchanted Botanicals, I think, is one of our medical dispensaries, right? Back in the day. I'm not too sure about that, but I know that they are partnering with Johnny James, and they have the Allsick brand. We recently were carrying the Wolf's Breath. I'm not sure if some of the stores still might have it, but I know some of the stores have also sold out of that Allsick. But Enchanted Botanicals is a very interesting brand that's bringing a very quality product to the shelves, and a lot of the clients are giving back a really good feedback of having a variety of either a budget market of eighths that you can purchase, or even a quality market at a good price. So they're giving us good feedback about the products that we are currently putting out.
And right now, guys, yes, our top shelf is the Enchanted Botanicals. They are indoor grown. As she was saying, Johnny James, I haven't really seen a lot of his content, but it seems like everybody knows who this guy is. Famous
everyone in
TikToker,
Albuquerque.
every Albuquerque, Buqueño, right? I didn't live there. It's been a couple years, but so this guy, he's doing a good job in terms of the promoting and the co-branding there. But the flower, actually, no, it's actually fantastic, spring, terpene rich, and like 11 different strains. Our top shelf, I think our mid, right, we've got like Genesis Organics and Don Verde, and I don't know if that's
probably
all
like
right
1010.
now. Some 1010.
Yeah, we like to focus a lot on the women owned, women grown, either of those type of companies, and try and outsource to those types of people. But yeah, and create a budget market as well for those out here in trying to self medicate.
Yes, and for you guys that are able to watch this right now, take a look at the ticker, and you'll check out all our deals for the week and all the things that are going down at High Horse. The future upcoming events. We want to keep everybody in the loop. Talking about the hash hole kits and farmers concentrates, $25 to $30. All those, everything.
The Nero is BOGO. So yeah, we have quite a few specials deals going on. So go ask your bud tender anything that you're interested in. Ask if there's a special for that.
Yep, and chef's kiss on the Enchanted Botanicals flower.
Oh yeah.
I think it's testing. All of it's testing above 27%. So on top of the indoor, it's got that rich THC percentage, and you're not seeing that high of THC percentages on the market. We're going to have obviously Croptober coming up and some new fire coming out, but right now it's probably some of the highest percent that you are going to get out there, and that's pretty great. Moving on as well, Botanix Extracts, wanted to make sure that we shouted out our sister company, in-house manufacturer here of extracts. Cured resin pens, they got 2 new flavors that came out this week, so we wanted to highlight those guys. But for those of you who don't know what cured resin is, we wanted to talk about that too, and their extraction process, right? They're doing distillation, but they they really do care about the quality inputs that go into that distillation method. Some, extractors and things like that can take trim or whatever else, wet flour and throw it straight into right the rotovap or whatever the distiller machine that they might be, and they're still going to get a product. You're still going to pull out THC. You're still going to distill it, but if you dry it and you cure it, you're going to do all the things that make it awesome, right? You're going to let it hang for whatever time it needs, get that humidity right, get those terpenes full, rich, trichomes expressed, pulled all the way out. So thus, you're removing the chlorophylls, and that extraction is a very, very clean extraction. And that's why, Botanix Extracts has done a very fantastic job there with their cured resin.
And then their terpene additives, they have dialed that it's not too harsh, it's not too much terpene, and it's not so lacking in the presence to where it's not tasty. So they do a really good job of getting that ratio of a good THC portion, a good clean distillate or cured resin, and then they get a good taste on their terpenes. So check one of these out, the new two strains, or we also have any of the old other strains. And then they have a lot of old reliables. One of the ones right now is the blue raspberry slush puppy. This one's a favorite one if you like a tastier cartridge. So if a client is also offering or asking for a something sweet, this is probably something you can recommend for them. Botanix does also offer half-gram rosin. The half-gram rosin disposable pens are different than the ones that we're explaining right now. You can differentiate these between the full gram in the cured resin, and then the hash rosin in the half.
Different.
Mm-hmm. So you can always know what you're picking up based off the size. So your hash resins are going to be a half, and your cured resins are going to be your full grams. Your full grams will last you quite a bit longer, and they're on a tastier side.
Do you have a favorite Botanix flavor by any means?
So this blue slush right now is calling my name. I haven't tried this one just yet, but in the past I have tried their guava. Oh gosh, anything guava is my favorite, and that one's my favorite. And then in the hash rosin, I gotta say the super sour diesel has been one of my favorites. I like anything with a sativa terpene lean, or just anything limonene.
And the hash rosin, just for educational purposes, that's going to be like your steam heat pressed, solventless extract, right? So just so make sure everybody knows the difference between your cured resin, which is your distillate with actual cured, plant material, should be floured, and thus you're going to have good inputs. But um, other than that, some extracts may not have cured flour and things like that go into it, and you probably will taste the difference. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe, unless you can count me wrong on this, I don't think Botanix has to do any terpene additives into their
Cures.
because I think that's what expresses those terpenes is the good curing of the process. Unless I'm wrong.
This one I know is an additive because of
Because
the blue raspberry.
blue slush.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
sorry
This
about
one
that.
is an additive. And I think they do. I think they mostly focus on the THC extraction of things, and same thing for the hash rosin. They try and get the purest hash, um, and then from there they add a terpene additive.
Got it.
But with that, it they have a perfect ratio down with it, with both of them. Adding terpenes to hash is not a typical thing, but I can attest to those, really really tasting neat and tasting good, lasting a good while, especially for it being hash. And the pricing of these, both of these are really good budget price pens, disposable pens. You definitely want to pick one of these up if you stop by High Horse. Give it a try. They have different options. They have your cured resins, or they have your solventless options. So you could give it a try, and give those terps a try.
Sweet. Yeah, and to talk about Botanix, we will segue into the next portion of their extracts, full spectrum oil extracts, talking about things that we are doing right now. Buck cancer case study. We got the buck cancer gala tomorrow. downtown at Amador Live in Las Cruces. Guys, if you haven't had your tickets, you've got like one day to do it.
Do you have your get up ready?
Not all the way prepared. I still need to go to the dry cleaners tomorrow and
Okay.
get that hashed out.
Yeah, we got 1920s theme, so a lot of us are going to be out there dressed up, for the event, and it's an event for a good cause. So come join us. There's still time to buy tickets.
It's gonna be fun, interactive dinner play. High Horse employees, you guys get obviously, you get a discount on the tickets, and you guys have the links for that as well. It's gonna be a cool night, taking it back 100 years, all
Way
for cancer. I don't know if everybody that has heard this podcast has heard the origin of the butt cancer case study or what we're doing with that, but we've got the people on here to talk about that. Bennett, talk to us about how this whole thing fired off.
So, Butt Cancer was an initiative that started way back in 2020. Actually, it started in 2021. So, I started in the industry, in the medical industry in 2020. My first entire year was 2021. And that year of February of 2021, my stepfather and I, which is Colt Demorris, he was on the podcast last time, we were fortunate enough to work with the dispensary that we were working with to get with two patients that were cancer patients to donate them some RSO oil, RSO or FSO, full spectrum oil. We were able to donate them some of that to help kickstart a treatment plan. We gave them the knowledge of cancer regimen of FSO and what it does with the body and cancer. From there, it kind of became a little tradition of ours. And the reason that we did it in February is to honor my mom's passing. My mom had a long battle with cancer. She fought for quite a few years. I was really young when she passed, but that didn't stop us from advocating while she was sick. So I have a long history of cannabis and the love for cannabis and the healing of cannabis because of this. So that has kickstarted a whole initiative. So the following year, we also were able to donate some more RSO oil to another patient. That patient kind of just came to us at the last minute. We really didn't have anything in mind, but turns out he was very ill with cancer. We told him about the regimen, and within 24 hours, we were able to raise the money to get him a full regimen of 60 grams. And, that was with the help of the dispensary that we were working with. They gave us a discounted price for the product. And then, there was a lot of people in the community that reached out to us and gave us donations for that. So we've had a long story, and now this is 2023. So that was 2021, 2022, and now we're in 2023. And 2023 was our kickstart of the Butt Cancer Initiative, which is where our goal is to find 42 patients to where we can donate the 60-gram regimen to for a case study, so we can provide education out there for the medical world. It's very much needed. Our doctors need to understand how cannabis can help cancer. Even contraindications, that's an important thing to talk about, especially with the medications that you may be getting prescribed as a cancer patient. A lot of these things are very not talked about because it's stigmatized, and especially with doctors. So creating this case study and helping these patients is just something that I hold really close to my heart, because like you mentioned, I do have the pharmacy tech background. I do want my foot in the door with a healthcare standpoint of things, and I do want to be in the cannabis industry as well, and obviously giving cancer treatments to people. So now I feel like we're at the best of both worlds, giving 42 cancer patients, and that's what this gala is actually for. We're raising the money to be able to provide all these 42 patients with the costless as possible. In New Mexico, unfortunately, we cannot give product for free, so we will have to charge a penny per per syringe, correct?
Yep.
And so it'll, I think, come out to a total of 60 cents. That's the least that we can charge for it. If we can find any loopholes around it, I think we came across something about for medical purposes you might not have to charge. So I have some research to do on that, but less than 60 cents. And where we have to, cover the costs for the case study, cover the costs for these clients. And I think we are doing a really good job of, carrying on the legacy and carrying on this story that initiated with just donating out of the goodness of our hearts.
Yes, and really, what was formed was a nonprofit called the Trichome Alliance here in like May or June, and High Horse, granted, as the kind of inaugural founder of the Trichome Alliance, there now with more active participants, was looking for a lens to try to find a Switzerland kind of neutral platform to find a way to continue to help people without having to sit there and um, focus on running the business in that regard, and that's given us a very good platform to reach out to people that are looking for cannabis as a medicine, looking for these options, work and collaborate with other cannabis companies in the cannabis community, to achieve common goals for just our community. And so it has created a nice little niche for us to do that there. I mean, for even better understanding, I mean, you, case studies and research and things like that are usually institutionally funded, guys. And sometimes institutions will get plenty of like real like amounts of money, millions of dollars, just to run a case study on 50 people. We're shooting for 42. Maybe we don't hit exactly 42, but we're going to have a 20 to 40 person case study somewhere in there, probably around 30-person case study. Um, that's managed by us, and there's not millions of dollars going into this, and we're just it's all hard, really. So that's what's really cool, because we have, I mean, at least enough of a platform to get enough data to get something kick started and get going, because someone will see that there, and there will be more research for people to draw on with full spectrum oil and cancer treatments, whether it's trying to evaluate their mental health status in a cancer treatment, all the way to nausea and other quality of life measures. So, cannabis can be different interventions for cancer and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the cool part about the bug cancer case study, and the cool part about what we're doing at High Horse, being a part of that, being the fulfillment station for it. Obviously, Botanix doing the extraction. I'm overseeing the project with all our patients, and we're just really gonna, get a good first round in, and it's only the beginning. So that's all I know.
It's super exciting.
Guys, moving on, we've got store questions that we're going to go through here. So, again, submit your questions over at the High Horse Cannabis stores in the question box, or if you message us on social media. I know our Instagram might be having some technical difficulties for a little while, but otherwise, find us on social media. Call the store. We'll write it down.
Yeah. Any questions? Anything? If you want us to go ahead and answer it here on this segment, go ahead. You can leave it anonymous, but we can even shout you out personally, let you know that we're answering your question. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to get started by store. So Chaparral, one of the first questions that we got from there is, how does CBD help alleviate the high feeling when feeling too high?
Well, I mean, what we're getting at here is you have two different receptors, CB1 and CB2 receptors. THC really affects that CB1 receptor, which is the most abundant G protein coupled receptor in the mammalian brain. You've got millions of these receptors in there that are stimulated with THC when THC gets in the brain. And CBD, also part of your endocannabinoids, are also helping your endocannabinoid system hits that CB2 receptor, which the CB2 receptor also changes the way that the CB1 receptor is going to have its own cascade of effects. And for layman's terms here, really, what CBD does is to help attenuate and bring down those anxiety related effects of CBD. When you're looking at that, things that could be exacerbated and elevated with THC anxiety may be already prior mental health status, saying you're going in there anxious before you smoke THC, and the THC may have exacerbated it, or X, Y, and Z, and CBD can go in there and help to
actually alleviate it.
Yes, exactly. So that's where that's kind of the essence of the science on that, and that's why we really like our beginners, our newbies, our opioid addicts, our alcoholics, even those that are anxious to consider CBD alongside that THC option there, whether it's from a full spectrum oil or separate CBD products or whatever.
Or finding a 1-to-1 flower ratio, even. You
Exactly.
could do
There's
so many
different
things.
options. So, I mean, as a pharmacist, everybody is such a different person, but I mean, for our bud tenders, I think we already kind of get the point. Start low, go slow. We've got that down. Find your dose, but it feels so easy to say because it's like the millionth time we've said it.
But even then, ratios is something that we can even contribute, and finding good ratios of CBD to THC, and making sure our clients understand that, they can understand that CBD is going to be a counteractant in a sense to the THC. They find themselves always getting too anxious with the THC, no matter the percentage, no matter the strain lineage. CBD, adding another cannabinoid, is going to be their best bet, and that's what your recommendation should be.
Yes, and I mean, side effects when it comes to THC too are dose dependent, guys, and things like um, you know upregulation of dopamine receptors to the fact that they just get completely you know upregulated. You don't get much function out of the dopamine receptors anymore. It takes 2 days to do a THC reset for the dopamine receptors. So that's always one to consider, especially if your effects from the THC may not be where you want them to be. And when things like serotonin and dopamine and all those start getting out of whack, right, we start seeing other things. But you can't sit here and tell you, take 2 puffs for depression. That's not how it works. Like it's really
And it's finding your secret key too, and it's whatever helps you manage. It's whatever helps you feel better. If THC is triggering it, find other cannabinoids that can make you feel better. Uh, THC is not your only cannabinoid out there that can help you out.
Yes, and for bud tenders and patients alike, I mean, knowing in your wheelhouse there that exactly you don't have to feel so singularly focused on THC all the time, or if you just feel like you don't know what's going on, at least start it all the way back of start low and slow, find your dose, and go from there. But I mean, coming down to what might be your chief clinical complaint, why, what do you want to achieve with cannabis, right? All while in mind that cannabis is not a one size fits all solution. It is not a magic pill. It's not going to cure your blood pressure problems. It's not going to cure your cholesterol problems. It's not going to repair your marriage by any means. You have to still be accountable for all of those things in life, and cannabis can be a tool to assist maybe some of those different facets in different ways.
So if the anxiety ever kicks in and you're feeling too high, CBD is a good alternative. But is it true that peppercorn also helps with the feeling too high?
So yes, the terpenes there can help under the nose. They do have to be crushed up, but to help mediate that symptom of feeling too high. Why I don't know why I'm blipping on the name of the terpene right now, but
Caryophyllene.
yeah, there we go. And so
Beta caryophyllene.
that is the terpene of choice for slowing it down. I have no idea the mechanism of action as to how beta caryophyllene does it, but the tried old lineage truth, I've heard it over and over again, and always tell people to keep some black pepper or peppercorn on deck.
So if you don't have CBD on hand, some black peppercorn, crush it up. The terpenes in peppercorn can also counteract slightly. It's been said. It's been said.
Good.
Now, another question. If you didn't know, before we lead to this question, High Horse does carry the High Five Excitement Lube slash massage oil. So this question probably came in from one of the clients. It says,
Buy one, get one at select stores.
That's one of the deals right now. So run. When using lube, and this means, enhanced lube that has THC or CBD or maybe any other cannabinoids in it, will my partner come out dirty? So test positive for THC or cannabinoids.
Well, guys, I mean, systemic absorption does happen, in that system there, and probably females, you guys are going to be the ones that are going to be systemically, truly absorbing that over the males. So I would definitely keep that in mind. I mean, granted, there could be, maybe not enough of a THC dose in the time between testing and all that to sit there and make a case. But, if you had some sort of a drug test,
Yeah, if you got a drug test coming up, don't risk it.
just, probably stay out of the suppositories, stay out of the THC lubes.
And the topicals and all that, you just, yeah, think twice. Alrighty, so moving on, at our main location. This is one of our questions. Does THC affect genders differently? Kind of plays in.
Well, men are from Mars and women are from Venus, or however that goes.
Something like that, right?
Yeah, I would say, yes. I guess the physiological response of the body and how we understand cannabis to affect testosterone and estrogen levels in men and women are not fully understood. I mean,
Again.
you've seen that cannabis or THC can lower sperm count or affect, one way or another in testosterone levels or estrogen levels. But you do see different comparative data on that, and the kind of, confounding parts there are, are you guys, what kind of people are you testing there, versus are you doing all the NBA athletes who are using THC because they've got testosterone out the roof and they're super healthy,
Exactly.
right? We just don't know what the data set is there.
The only thing is, receptors are very different, and the male body and the female body is very different. So in a sense, it's yes, but there's not enough research out there at the moment. Hence why clinical studies, research, a lot of that is important, especially in the medical world, because questions like this matter.
Yes, and I really have, on women's health specifically, differently, I've heard endometriosis, menstrual pain, cannabis has been a good solution for people in many regards there. Men, for right outbursts of men things and things like that. Not saying men just have those kinds of outbursts, but it kind of helps to level the ground there for an overcharged battery for sure.
For sure. So it's different in two different senses. So let's hope that we can get these ones. How many?
Yes.
So how many milligrams per one full dropper and an 800 milligram tincture? So we do carry farmers quality tinctures at the shops. Those tinctures range in either 100 milligram version or an 800 milligram version. And right now we currently, I think, only have the 800 milligrams in stock. So that is a medical product only. But the question is how many milligrams will be in one full dropper? And I believe one full dropper is going to be 1 full milliliter.
So this is where the math always comes down to find your dose, start low and go slow, right? And all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, what is my dose? So this is a good question because that can be a varied question. Well, what is one full dropper? That's question to a question, but we already know one dropper is 1 full milliliter here. So again, then your math still goes on to what is the serving or the size of the bottle? I'm assuming it's like a 1 ounce, 30 ml tube or
Yes.
a tincture bottle.
Mhm.
And so from there, we're doing, 30 servings
Yes.
divided by 800 milligrams. And so that's your math on that somewhere in that wheelhouse. Let me pull up the calculator. But yes, exactly. So that's where we get the breakdown of, hey, how do you find your dose? And that I like thinking about it in those terms because as much as it seems like basic arithmetic, the average person may not be thinking about how they break up their dose. And something when I like to allude to puffs of flour, one puff of flour, in less than like 10% range of THC can be about 2.5 milligrams of cannabis. So really these 20% and above, you're already getting like 5 to 10 milligrams in one dose on one puff of cannabis flower.
Wow.
And then for edibles, obviously you would say, you're doing division by portion size. However, some people may not think about it. All right, I just broke a little part off the bar. How many times have you heard something like that?
Yes.
And you don't know what people took.
Yeah.
So everybody's little chunk is a little different.
That's why it's important to follow the little squares or the notches in your edibles. A lot of these edibles that are regulated in the state of New Mexico are um, told that they have to have, some sort of uh, breakup if it's over a certain milligrammage. So like little recess cups and stuff like that, those have to have a little score that gives you a milligram breakdown. But the tincture math, the 800 divided by 30, it would range it up at about 26.6. So we could even just say, for reference, a 25 milligram would be the answer for that 1 milligram. So it's, I guess maybe it's important to answer this one, because let's just say, you already have your dosage down at 10 milligrams. You take a gummy of 10 milligrams and you want to switch to your tinctures now you know that you're going to want to take half the dropper. So about 25 milligrams will be 800 milligrams of a full dropper tincture.
Yes, exactly. So, cannabis community, math may or may not be your strength, and that's okay. But just break it down into that literal, logical bit. If you do not have a way to measure something, then there's something inherently wrong with whatever is going on, because cannabis companies should be having ways for you to measure it. As she mentioned already, there should be some way for you to understand what dose you are taking, and just to be literally mindful about it. If you did break off, you know it's just like a piece of pie or whatever it might be. A half is a half, a quarter might be a quarter. You may have scoring on a um, tincture dropper. I think
Mhm.
some of the drinks have like closable can lids, but I don't know if
Some,
they've got ways for you to fully, measure exactly where you're at in the drink.
yeah.
But,
So
you know,
some of the products out there you do have to be careful with. But it's important that our bud tenders are a little more on the knowledgeable side. It's a good breakdown to have. So, look at the milligrammage versus the milliliters, and divide it there. And, from there, you have more or less your dosage. So, yeah.
and bud tenders, I would challenge you guys, find your dose. I
Hmm.
know even if you're an experienced user, just be curious. Be like, what is the total dose of THC that I take on an average day? Think about that. Do some math. When you're thinking about puffs, all that, as we talked about that earlier. Just
So we actually have a bud tender out there that she likes to reference whenever she likes to get stoned and whenever she likes to get pebbled.
interesting.
So there's a level for her. So stoned is up here and pebbled is right here. She's just looking for a little pebble, not super stoned. So that, I feel like she's got a dosage ish found. But yeah, find your dosage. I'll be asking you about it when I stop by your store.
What's your total
What's
THC
your
dose?
dosage?
Cool. What do we got from Valley?
Um, Valley says, "What are terpenes?" So I guess that's the exact breakdown of what terpenes are.
So let's pull up some informational context here that can give us a better demonstration than I'm ever going to give.
So for right now, I can let you know that terpenes exist in the cannabis world, but not just only in the cannabis world. You're going to find them in fruits, in herbs, in spices. Like we mentioned, pepper. Pepper contains the terpene beta caryophyllene, and that's not cannabis. And you can create entourage effects with outer sources of terpenes, making sure.
Yes, I mean, if you're okay, I'll put on this video,
Yeah.
and we can, just give everybody a nice little informational, well thought out clip of terpenes, because it does help us learn. Let me make sure I have my sound on as well.
Many other aspects of the cannabis plant, terpenes are still a topic surrounded with controversy. So what are terpenes? How many different types of terpenes are present in cannabis, and what do they do? Let's find out after the intro. What are terpenes? Terpenes, also known as isoprenoids, are the largest and most diverse group of naturally occurring compounds found primarily in plants. They are responsible for the fragrance, taste, and pigment of plants. Some of the most well-known terpenes can be found in tea, thyme, cannabis, Spanish sage, and citrus fruits. Anyhow, they are also responsible for some of the aromas in wine. Terpenes aid in identifying a product's sensory fingerprint, as well as its tastes and smells, allowing us to recall it later. Cannabis and its diverse terpene profile provide medicinal benefits while also contributing to the flavor and aroma of different cannabis varieties. In studies on chronic pain, mood, anxiety, insomnia, and cancer therapy, these aromatic molecules have been lauded in the scientific literature for their therapeutic properties. What effects do terpenes have? While terpenes have their own effects on the brain, they also alter the effects of THC. Terpenes can affect mood, sensitivity, perception of the senses, and bodily perceptions like balance and pain by temporarily altering brain function. As terpenes lock into receptor sites in the brain and modify their chemical output, some terpenes may affect the feeling of being high. How many terpenes are present in cannabis? Over 100 terpenes have been identified in marijuana. There are actually many more when one considers the multiple variations of each terpene. In general order of abundance, the most common terpenes in marijuana are myrcene, limonene, caryophyllene, pinene, terpineol, borneol, delta-3 carene, linalool, and pulegon. Myrcene is the most predominant terpene found in cannabis. It is also found in thyme, mango, lemongrass, and can be found in tiny amounts in essential oils used for antidepressive and uplifting purposes. Its scent is described as clove-like, gritty, citrusy, fruity with minty subtleties. Limonene is found within the skin of citrus and numerous other fruits. It is one of the most prevalent terpenes in cannabis resin. Everybody is familiar with this citrusy odor. Limonene scent explodes into the air when fruit is peeled and are very prevalent in strains like lemon haze and papaya punch. Limonene has antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-carcinogenic properties. Caryophyllene is a significant terpene found in dark pepper, clove, and cotton. It has a sweet, woody, and dry clove scent and tastes spicy with camphor and astringent citrus foundations. It also has anti-inflammatory effects. Pinene is a familiar scent that you might know from pine trees. Its scent additionally offers skunk varieties that sting just like the animal. It is likewise found in essential oils including rosemary oil, sage oil, and eucalyptus oil. Pinene is used medically as an expectorant and topically as an antiseptic. It additionally increases focus, self-satisfaction, and energy. Terpineol has a lilac, citrus, or lime odor. It is a minor constituent of many plant essential oils and is commonly used in perfumes and soaps. It reduces motility, the capability for movement, by 45% in rat tests. This may also account for the couch lock effect that some cannabis users experience. Borneol smells like the menthol aroma of camphor. In Chinese medicine, it is considered a calming sedative. It is aimed at fatigue and recovery from illness and stress. Additionally, borneol creates a psychedelic effect. Delta-3 carene has a sweet and pungent odor. It is found in many different plants, including rosemary. In aromatherapy, cypress oil high in delta-3 carene is used to dry excess fluids, tears, runny noses, excess menstrual flow, and perspiration. It may contribute to the dry eye and dry mouth experience that some cannabis consumers experience. Linalool encompasses a floral scent corresponding to spring flowers such as the lily of the valley, but with spicy overtones. It is refined from lavender, neroli, and other sedating essential oils. Linalool is presently being tested as treatment for several types of cancers. Pulegon has a minty odor and flavor that is used in the candy industry. It can cause liver damage when used in excessive dosages. Fortunately, it is only found in tiny quantities in marijuana. To conclude, terpenes, their interactions, and the consequent impact on brain activities is a broad topic, and researchers must continue to study terpenes further to understand their full potential therapeutic and medicinal effects on humans and animals. Is there anything about terpenes that we have missed? Let us know in the comments. Also, feel free to request
So yes, guys,
So
like another good little look at that.
yeah, so in basic short terms is terpenes are the reason for the effect, the smell, and the taste of your cannabis, fruits, herbs, spices, in a sense. So
Makes me want to take a nice little whiff here. Some Enchanted
what do you think it
Botanicals.
smells like?
Heaven. I don't know if that's a
think
terpene.
I could probably fish out a terpene or two out of here. And from there we would just have to ask with Enchanted Botanicals. So I smell very heavily pinene and lemony.
Actually, I think I'm on the same train there.
And then maybe some humulene, some sweet notes in around there. But yeah, this green crack is one of my favorites, probably because those terpene profiles are one of my favorite terpene profile mixes. That's another challenge for you bud tenders and even a client. If you're watching, find your terpenes. Find your compound. You might have two favorite terpenes for activities and two favorite terpenes for relaxation.
Yeah.
Find your terpenes.
That's a great point. Is that what we got from Valley? We got anything else?
There's
full spectrum. We got that CBG. Oh, okay. Let's do the pronunciation there.
Yeah. So I think it's a tomato type of thing, but cannabigerol,
Cannabigerol or cannabigerol. You guys choose. That's your food for thought for the day. How do you pronounce CBG if you can even pronounce it?
I was gonna say, can you
get all the way down there? So that's your assignment.
Cannabigerol.
Cannabigerol or not? Who knows? So
that's the who came first, chicken or the egg question in the cannabis industry. There's a lot of them. Honestly, a lot of the terpenes are really hard to pronounce as well too. Like beta caryophyllene, everyone pronounces that one different.
Oh yeah, that
caryophyllene.
That guy was saying it a completely different way than I would have butchered it.
Yeah. So they're out there. The important part is that you know what they do.
Agreed. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Inaugural
Bye.
Full Spectrum first episode podcast. Signing out. It was fun.